Okay, right. So this should all be nice, straightforward review. Positively, because we're all going to remember what we did last time with regards to algebra. So we've looked at algebra in both year 7 and year 8. So this is just one other recap. So first of all, I need to make sure that you remember what algebra is all about. Algebra is a way of writing things down in maths using general terms. So for example, rather than writing a number, so for example, I said choose a number, add 7 to it. Okay? So rather than writing all that in English, we want to try and write it as succinctly, that's as shortly, as small as possible. So instead of writing a number, I'm going to choose any letter to represent that number. So the letters represent numbers. Okay? So for example, if I've got x take away 5, okay, if I see that, I need to know what that means. What that means is that 5 less than x, or x has 5 subtracted from it. Okay? There are lots of different ways. Now these 3 examples are literally just that. They are examples. So as long as what you're saying is the same meaning as these, that's totally fine. Okay? If we see this, A plus B, it's the sum. So you'll see phrases like the sum. Okay? Sum means you're adding things. So that we could say the sum of A and B, or B more than A. Okay? There are different ways of saying these things, or they all mean the same. 3x squared plus 7. So 7 more than 3 times the square of x. Are we all happy with these kinds of phrasing? Yeah? Good? Stuff we've all remembered? Okay? Are you with us?
No.
No.
See. She goes, no.
So, because we've got this,
Right.
plus 7, it means that there's 7 more than 3 times the square of x squared.
That word is doing it word. Yeah. No, I get it.
All right. So the important thing is that if you are asked to write that in words, you may use different words. If you saw this, would you be able to get to that kind of expression?
No.
Nope. So we need to establish why not. Which bits are you not sure about?
All of it.
No, you're not. That's not true. I'm quite sure that you can pick out some of this.
I think it's like the 3 times the square of x. That just sounds confusing.
Oh, see, I thought that would be the easier part.
No,
Okay,
that sounds
3 times. If you've got 3 times something, where's that number 3 going to go? In front of it, yes? Yeah? What, the square of x?
okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
That would mean x squared, yes? So 3 times the square of x. I appreciate that 7 more sounds a bit weird at the front. Okay, you may have 3 times the square of x plus 7, or with 7 added to it. Okay, so you may word it slightly differently. But are we happy with this? Yeah, Alan.
The thing that confuses me is like if it's 5 less than x, why does x take away 5?
Because 5 less than x. That's the key thing, is that's what lots of people get the wrong way round. Because x has had 5 taken from it. Okay? So if I said that x was 11, and we had this expression here, okay, what number would it be if it was 11 take away 5?
7. No, sorry, no, 6.
6. Okay. So we're trying to explain to someone that we're trying to get the number 6. Okay? And that would be 5 less than 11.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah? So whilst it may sound a bit weird, the way they've written it, as long as we understand which way round it's going, that's the important thing. Okay?
Sorry too, but they're short. So in the when you write it, can you say plus, minus, and like times?
You can. I mean, we more than, less than, maybe a bit better because you're literally otherwise just using the same word. But I don't mind too much. To be honest, these kinds of questions don't come up that much in the GCSE exam. It's more that you are confident that you understand what's going on. Okay, that's the main thing by going through these.
And my second one is.
Yep.
Because x minus 5.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can switch them around and it will be the same thing. Is this
So the only times you can switch them is really when they're adding.
okay?
When they're subtracting, no. Okay? So write the following as algebraic expressions. So we need to write the sum of p and the square of q. Okay? So the sum. So when I see the phrase the sum, what am I doing to my items? Adding?
Adding.
Adding. So I know I'm going to have a plus sign somewhere, yes? The sum of p and the square of q. What do you think I'm going to put first?
Q. P.
I would probably pick the thing that they talk about first, yeah? So that would be the p. Let me do this in colours. So p. And I now need to represent the square of q. Amber, what would I write? The square of q. I asked you on purpose because it was things that other way. Happy with that? So the sum, so that's where this bit came from. The sum of p, which is the green, and the square of q. That's it. That's all we have to do. So we have to just realise how we would put these things together. So b.
I don't have to answer this, do you?
No. Now, that's a great question, Maya. Just because lots of people are like, well, what are we doing now? So we are just writing an expression. Okay? An expression is just a statement using letters and symbols. Okay? If we were writing an equation, what would have to be involved if I was writing an equation? Georgie? An equal sign. So for an equation, there would be an equal sign there somewhere. Okay? Now, if I was asked to write an equation, then potentially I may be asked to solve that equation. So solving equations means I need to establish the actual values of the letters. Okay? Now, if I'm writing an expression, you can do nothing else with it other than write the letters and the symbols. Okay? That's all we can do. Rita, is there a reason you're not writing down what we're writing down? I just gave this paper out. Do you have it?
Yes.
Okay, so that you really could have spent the 3 weeks that you just had off doing. Awesome. Abby?
I answer B.
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure you would just put brackets around P and Q because it says the square of the sum of P and Q.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Okay, so we're going to focus on the sum. So that would be the plus of P and Q. And Abby, you are absolutely right in that we need brackets around it because they said the square of them. Perfect. And then what do we do?
You need to put the square sign of it.
Lovely job. Are you all happy with the fact that we need the brackets?
Yes.
Because if we didn't have that, completely different. Okay? Because if we had that, we would have P plus Q squared. And we all know, whenever we do any maths, we follow bed maths, bod maths, whatever thing you have. And that would mean that we would square the Q and add the P to it. Okay? And that's not what they want us to do. They want us to have the sum of P and Q and then square it. Okay? So this would B nil naught.
Wait,
Yeah.
so for that one, there, just say Q is 10 and T is 2. So you find in the bracket first and then.
Yes, because their math always starts with the B, so you do the brackets. Okay, lovely jubbly. C. B less than double A. Okay, so this is where other kinds of words come in. You have to understand what doubling something, what effect that has. And it's B less than double A. M squared, do you want to go?
Yeah, so 2A.
Nice. Okay, so doubling means that we've got 2A. Yes, Helen?
Minus B.
Lovely jubbly. B less means we're going to subtract B. Yeah? Happy with that? Awesome.
Miss Harrison,
Yes.
for A, you said we should do like the first one first.
I mean, it's not essential because remember also I also said when we're adding something the order doesn't really matter. Okay? So you could have written Q squared plus P. Just normally if you're reading something you would normally write the first thing first. Okay? But obviously for this one, the less, because that has to go at the end because it's being subtracted. Okay? Alright, right in sentence form. Okay, so this time we've got the expressions and we need to write in words. Okay? So try and think of fancy pants things that we do. So we've got the C and the T are next to each other, so you have to remember what that means. Georgie?
B is equal to the letter C.
Oh, I'm loving it. Did you all hear that word that Georgie used? Product. Okay, have we heard that word before? We know what that means?
Yes.
What does it mean?
Multiply.
Multiplying. Loving it. Okay, so the C and the T. So D is equal to, or equivalent, love it, fancy pants. The product of C and T. Okay, so remembering that product means multiply.
Isn't that an E? Almost.
C and D. It looks like and, but obviously that's my board. Okay, we knew that they were being multiplied because they were next to each other. Beautiful. B. Same people put hands up. Hannah, do you fancy when you go this one? Either Hannah. Right, isn't it?
I'll try, but
I love it.
is equal to the product of
Careful. What did product mean?
fraction.
Division.
Oh, sorry, the
Equation?
Division.
What are you trying to say?
like it's equal to your B and C's,
How do you mean B and C?
the sum of
Nice.
C
The sum of B and C.
by 2.
Okay, so here we've got to make sure that we are, it's like, you know when you play games and you're trying to get people to draw pictures, and you have to make sure that you phrase it in a way that they do the correct thing first. So if we say the sum of B and C divided by 2, we could say B and C divided by 2. Okay? So we need to make sure that we have the division under the whole thing. Okay? Now, it may be that if you say the sum of B and C divided by 2, you would automatically do it like that. That's fine. But we do need to make sure that if you just see it written down, then you would make sure you do the right thing. Because I can say the sum of B and C divided by 2. Those words are all exactly the same, but the way I stopped would make me write this one instead. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So if I was just reading words from a piece of paper, I could say the sum of B and C divided by 2. That would be like this. Or I could say, bless you, the sum of B and C divided by 2. In that case, I would probably write this one. So we can't control how someone stops and starts their reading. Obviously we can with punctuation, but that doesn't always hold true in maths. So we need to have some kind of probably other phrase to make sure that we keep that B and C together. What else do you think we can say?
Over.
Over would be the same as divide. Abby?
Would you just say BC?
No, because we need to say it's the sum of them. Hannah?
Would you say both B and C divided by 2, or?
You could do. I mean, think about I would probably say the result of B and C, or the result of the sum of B and C divided by 2, okay? Because that's making sure I've kept that together. Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
So, A is equal to the result of of the sum of B and C divided by 2. And what's another way of saying divided by 2? What other phrase might you hear or see?
Like half.
Halved. Yes, if you saw halved, you would know that was divided by 2, yes? Okay, I'm just trying to say all of these things now to try and keep them in your head. You may want to add them to your notes. So remember, halving something means dividing it by 2. If I said the word treble or triple, what would that mean? Careful.
Oh, squaring things. Cubic.
No. Not dividing by 3. Multiplying by 3. Okay, so if we've got triple or treble, some are more common than others, but if you see triple or treble, that means you're multiplying by 3. Other phrases are the other words that Georgie just used. Cubing. Okay, remember cubing means to the power of what?
3.
3. Okay, squaring would be, we talked about that already, it's the power of 2. Okay. Sharing would be what you're doing when you're sharing something. Dividing. Okay. So just be aware that there are certain phrases that you will see, and I can't cover every single one of them. Some of them you have to use a bit of that common sense thing that hopefully you haven't lost it all over those Christmas break.
Is there like different words for like the power of like 5?
No, you would just say to the power of 5. So square and cube is the only two fancy ones. Oops. Alright, right, S is the sum of A and the product of G and T as an equation. Okay, now, so we've got an equation here, so we know this is involving an equal sign, and because we've said S is the sum, so we've got S is equal to. So we need to do the sum of A and the product of G and T. The sum of A and the product of G and T. Oh, say 2 people. I've got no one else. Right. Is that it? You sure? Are you missing some of the words?
Probably. Never mind.
So start again. S is the. Yep. So what does sum indicate it's going to happening? So it's going to get plus this. Of what? And what's going to be special about those G and T? Other than the glass for the size of 9. Pardon? Would they need to be in a bracket? They wouldn't need to be, but what's going to happen to them? What sign, is there going to be a sign in between them? No, they're just going to be next to each other, yes? Because we know that when letters are written next to each other, they're being multiplied, and we know product means multiplied. Perhaps I shouldn't have just recorded me talking about G and T.
I didn't.
You didn't get it?
It's a drink. It's a
gin and tonic. It's known as a G and T.
They smell really good, actually.
No. So we don't need to put the G and the T in a bracket because we know that they're next to each other and they're being multiplied. Okay?
What is the other way? Like, as opposed to GT plus A?
You can totally do GT plus A, yes. Okay? As I said, then when you're adding stuff, the order isn't.
If you put it in brackets, will you get it wrong?
No. No. Okay. Right, so, shiver me timbers. Oh, that's a pretty.
Foil! I love this thing!
No. Foil's the best. Foil's
I love foil. That's the thing I lost.
I did not.
I understood foil and I'm so happy.
Alright, okay, forming an equation. Okay, so this is very similar stuff, so translate into an equation. We know an equation has to have equal sign. I'm going to say it a lot, you're going to get bored of it, but I want the same. I want you to make sure you don't forget. The sum of two consecutive even integers is 34. Now, this is getting into the harder stuff. Now, you may have looked at this last year, or you may have skipped it, who knows. So we know that the sum, okay, so sum is something going to be added. Okay, so we know that there's going to be some adding involved. Okay? Consecutive. What does consecutive mean? Not the same. No. Amy.
Like right after each other?
Right after each other. Okay? So if I had number 6, what would the consecutive number to 6 be?
7.
Sorry, 7. Thank you for the shout. Sorry.
Could it be?
And what would the next consecutive number be? 8. Okay. Right. So that's consecutive numbers. Now, this says consecutive even. Oh, no, I didn't focus on the word integer. What does it integer?
Number.
More specifically, Amy?
Whole number?
Whole number. Okay, so an integer is a whole number. So, if I said 6, what's my consecutive even number? 8. What's my next one going to be? 10. The next one would be 12. Okay, right. Okay, we get the idea. So that would be, we've dealt with our consecutive even business. Now, we don't know what the first number is going to be. So what we do here is we say, right, I'm going to pretend that this is x. You now have to tell me, how would I describe this number? If this was x, how would I describe my next number or my next even number? Abby?
As another letter?
As in terms of x, yes. How would I describe it? If this was x, how could I get someone to get this number?
I was going to say Z, but...
So we need to have x in terms of x. Hannah had her hand up next.
Maybe like 2x, because you're adding 2 on.
Ah, but what does 2x mean?
Oh, sorry.
So try again.
Maybe like, because you're adding 2, it would be like x to the power of 2.
Oh,
2, 3.
You're saying all the right words, you're just coming up with the wrong thing at the end. What are you doing to x? You are
Adding 2.
you're
Adding 2.
adding 2, so how would I show that?
Oh, x plus 2.
That's exactly it.
Yes, we are.
Yeah? Okay? So if this was x, this would be x plus 2. How could I describe the number 10? That's great.
X plus 2 plus 2 or X plus 4.
X plus 4 would be a better way. And then 12 would be, Abby? X plus 6. Do we get the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so all that, and these conversations were if we did start with the number 6. Okay? Would our x plus 2, x plus 6 be the same as if this was 30?
No.
What would the next even number be?
32.
Does this hold true?
Yeah.
The x and the x plus 2?
Yes.
The next one would be 34. Does this hold true?
Yes.
Okay. So does it matter which number we start off with?
No.
No. Okay, are we all happy with that?
Yes.
Okay, so the fact that I used the number 6 as our starting point hasn't affected how we label our things. Okay, and that's the important thing with algebra, in that it doesn't matter what number you're representing, you are just representing a number. Okay, now let's go back to our actual question though, because it says the sum of two consecutive even integers is 34. So we're only focusing on two consecutive even integers. So we're only focusing on these two. Now, you could have focused on these two, or these two, but it would be easier with just these two, yes? So I would then say x plus 2 is equal to 34. Are you all happy with that? Okay, x was my first number, plus x plus 2 is my second number, is equal to 34. Now, some of you may say, oh, whoa, that's all a bit confusing. I would like to have a bracket around here. Okay, if you would prefer to have a bracket, that is totally fine. You can have a bracket, but you do not need the bracket.
Why would you need a bracket?
Listen to what I just said. You do not need the bracket, okay? Because for some people they say, right, that's my first number, I'm adding my second number, yes? And so they just feel a bit more comfortable having that first and second number, okay? So, there we go, we've set up our equation. Now, we're going to come into solving equations later on, and we may be asked to set up or form an equation and then solve it. Now, if you go on to solve it, you have to remember that these brackets are not essential, because then we would start doing things like joining like terms. Okay? I don't want to talk too much about that, because we can talk about that later. Right, oh, 25 minutes already. Right, let's do a few more and then you're going to do some practice. When a number is doubled and then increased by 7, the answer is 19, and they want us to find the number. Now, I'm not going to find the number, I'm just going to form the equation. Okay, so we're just going to form the equation. Amelie?
Sorry, for the first one, the answer was x plus 2 plus 34.
Yep.
Oh.
It just says find.
It just says translate into an equation. It hasn't asked us to solve it. That's the important thing. When we have questions like this, we must make sure we just do what they've asked us to do, because you may spend time solving something and you haven't had to, and you've just wasted time that you could have spent on some other questions.
Because for the examples, we did numbers for each. You don't do that?
Correct. No, because there has to be an equation. Equations have to be algebra. It has to be letters.
So if it said the sum of 3, would we do x plus 4? Could we have done that?
So if it had 3 consecutive numbers, we would have x plus 2 plus x plus 4.
We do all.
Okay, because it's the first number, the second number, and the
And
third
then
number.
equals 34?
Equals whatever.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Alright, so back to this one then. So you don't want to do this one. Maybe I should pick on someone, because M Square keeps putting their hand up. Go on then, Vintage.
Would it be 2x plus 7 equals 13?
Secretly, no.
19, sorry.
What did you say?
I said 13. How would it be x plus 2 in for everyone? Or is that just if you're...
That's it. When we were adding, we would find the sum of. So that one's a pretty straightforward one, yes?
Yes.
Okay, as I say, we're not going to find the number. We're going to do that later. Okay, so forming the equation is the most important thing, because if you've got that wrong, then your answer is definitely going to be wrong. Okay, so 2x plus 7. Now, do you have to use the letter x?
No.
No, you can use any letter you wish. Okay, I would suggest not O or I, because they often look like ones. And O's, obviously, the first rest. Okay, if 3 consecutive integers add to 27. Okay, so again, we're not going to find them. We're just going to form the equation. 3 consecutive integers. No. So we're going back to the word consecutive. We know that means one after the other. This up above we were talking about consecutive even numbers. So remember, that's why we had the +2. Yes? So for consecutive integers, if my first one was x, what would my second one be? Hannah?
X plus 2.
Careful, consecutive integers, they're no longer even. So what would the number after x be referred as? Abby? That's my first number. What's my second number?
I thought you were just 2 plus x.
No, because if x represented 7, if I had plus x, I would have 14. And I want to know the next number. How would I show the number after 7? Amy?
X plus 2. I mean x plus 1.
X
and
plus
then
1. Good.
X plus 2, yeah.
So this would be my first number. This would be my second number. Yes?
Do I add?
And then this would be my third number. And then we would have plus signs in between them, because we are adding them. Okay. So I've done different colours to show you the first, the second, and the third number. But you can use brackets if you want to keep them separate completely. And they add to 27. So what am I going to finish off with? 27. Awesome. Right, is that the last example?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Right, so let's stop there and you can have some fun. Alright, I'm back. Let's keep going.
I remember.
Yeah.
Ooh, can I try this?
Sure.
Okay. What if you 5x take away 5 equals 7 plus 3x?
Totally. Oh, yeah, totally. That is awesome. 5 times a selected number minus 5 is equal to 7 more than 3 times the number. Okay? Now, we used the same letter because they were talking about the same number. Okay? If they had said 5 times a different number, then we wouldn't have used the same letter. Okay? So it's really important that you do appreciate that. So 5x minus 5 equals 7 plus 3x. Perfect. Thank you.
That's what I remember.
Go on, have a go, Emily.
No, I could do the first one, but I don't think I can do the second one.
This one?
Yeah, you go for mine.
All right, and squares.
Oh, yours.
Okay, x. So these that I can remember, and then. Okay, so can I put actual numbers in for the sum of 6, or do I have to?
Well, it's the sum
Which is
of 6 and the number.
Oh, okay. So divided.
You're going to divide the sum of 6 and the number. So think about what you would need to do first. Kelsey, was that an assist? How would I show the sum of 6 and the number?
You would do x plus 7. Oh.
Okay, so that's what I want to divide by 3. Okay, so it's all about how we read the question, yes? So we need to divide that by 3.
And then four more than that.
Okay, this result
It's 4 more than 1/4. So
okay, it's 4 more than 1/4. So is. So when we see the word is, what do we think we're going to write now?
equals.
Yeah.
Equals.
4 more than. So 4 more than something. What are we going to do to it? 4 more.
Add.
Yeah. So we're going to do 4 plus.
Plus a quarter, which is 1/4
Of the number.
Of x. And then find.
That's it.
Don't find it.
A quarter. The answer.
Okay, so we can either have 1/4 in front of it, okay, or x divided by 4, because 1/4 of something is the same as the number divided by 4. You happy with that?
Do you have any tissues?
I did have, yes, I can, isn't that a box just there?
Oh, yes. Can I borrow?
Well, I don't want it that much.
I'm reading it. I try to find it.
Okay, now that one is not an easy one. Okay, so if you're sitting there thinking, whoa, I would struggle with that, okay, that's fine. You just need to practice some of those ones. Okay, so it's all in English, and if some of you, if English is not your forte, then in a test situation especially, you start to read things too quickly and you miss some key features of it. Okay, so it's all about reading it nice and slowly, matching up things, matching up phrases. How would we do this? Okay, and if you get this wrong, it doesn't really matter. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Okay, these, as I said, these would be the harder ones. It's not the end of the world, but I want you to practice as many of those as you can. All right, last example, I think, isn't it now? And then you can actually get some stuff. So if a number is increased by 5 and then trebled, if the number is increased by 5 and then trebled, am I?
X plus 5 times 3.
Like that?
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, we've got a few hands shooting up. Is that because you're disagreeing with Amani?
It could be another way to write it, but it's something times 3.
Right? No, that's not all. Okay, no, I hear you, sister. However, I'm gonna take a break and say to you, right, Imani, if you looked at that, could you tell me how you would do that?
No. I would want to do it that way.
Okay, what would you, why is it an issue if I said look at this and calculate something? What's the problem with this?
Confusing?
And not necessarily confusing. I always hold you back to this. Okay? And if I was following this, what would I have to do first?
Multiply.
So I would have to do 5 multiplied by 3. Okay? And then I would add x. Is that what I want to do here?
No.
What do I want to do here? What's the order that I have to do things in my question?
Add it.
Okay, so how am I going to make sure that someone adds stuff first?
Bracket.
Nice. Okay, all right?
Yes.
Now, that's really important. So whenever you look at these things, when it comes to those checking steps, remember I said you always want to try and check your work. That's what you want to say to yourself. Would I do this in the correct order that the questions ask me to? And if it's not, you're going to probably need a bracket in there somehow. Now, we don't often use multiply signs in maths. Okay, we don't often see a multiply by 3. So how could I show that I'm multiplying this bracket by 3?
Would it be incorrect to write multiply?
It's not incorrect, but we need to try and take up a step because we're now year 9, so we've done this in year 7 and 8. We want to try and just take it up a notch. How can I show that I'm multiplying? Pardon? Not cube, but remember, we've got, you're all very quick to change your multiplying by 3 to cubing, okay? I would just normally write it in the front. Yes? So I would write 3 bracket x plus 5.
Oh,
Okay. Because we're multiplying, yes? So I know that when things are next to each other, they're being multiplied. So whilst this top part is not wrong, it's not as I would probably write it in a fancy answer. Okay, so that's the first part. If a number is increased by 5 and then trebled, the result is, so Imani, you can keep going.
Equals 6 plus 2/3 of the number, which is x.
Okay, so what am I going to write? 2/3 x. Lovely. Okay?
Yeah.
And again, we're not finding the number. That's when it starts to get a bit more challenging. But I just want you to make sure that you can write these things down. Because if you have this question in an exam, okay, as long as you've done this part, you've got some of the marks. So whenever we're doing questions, we need to make sure that we're getting at least some of them. You don't have to get 100% of any kind of exam to get the top grade. Okay, so you don't need 100%. So you can miss a few things out. Okay, if you miss everything, obviously there's a problem. But don't have to panic, as long as we can do at least part of it. That's our goal.
For the first one, like on this page, find what is the number? Does it mean find the number?
Yes. Okay, so but we'll come to that when it comes to solving this, the way they ask stuff. All right, okay.